6:31. We will call the Monday, March 25th meeting to order. If we could please start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. With that, do we have any additions to the agenda tonight?
No additions tonight,
All
Mayor.
right, with that, I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. With that, we will move to public comments. If there's anyone who would like to discuss anything not on the agenda, please come forward. And seeing none, we will close public comments and move to the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that needs to be pulled for further discussion? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. And with that, we'll move into the 2023 audit. Nick, if you'd like to introduce Bonnie, that would be great.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to welcome Bonnie from Abdo Eichen Myers. There's just Abdo now. Did they drop the Eichen? They dropped the Eichen Myers? So from Abdo, she is our city's auditor that is assigned to us by the firm, and we've had the pleasure of working with her for several years now, at least the last two with me for certain. So welcoming you back to present the city's 2023 audit.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nick. Yes, and Ike and Myers retired, and so we just went with Abdo. The last one remaining the original partner. So I'm going to go through the audit results. You will see this says draft on the title. We do need some information from Para for the fire relief to finish it up. They plan on releasing that in April, I believe, and then that should be the only thing that we need. It won't affect any of the numbers that we go through tonight or any of the audit findings. So everything else that we talked about, we'll see.
Perfect.
I'm going to go through our audit opinion and then go through some of the financial results. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to stop me as those questions come up. We can talk about anything at that time. And so first, for our audit opinion letters, on the next slide there, we have two opinion letters in the financial statements. The first one is our independent auditor's report. Essentially tells your financial statement users, like your bondholders, that the financial statements are free of material misstatements. We're able to obtain all of our audit evidence, and we were able to conduct our audit as planned. So we did not run into any significant issues, and there was no information missing from the financial statements. We also issue an opinion letter over legal compliance, and so as a city, you have to comply with a lot of different state statutes, and we did not have any legal compliance issues this year. And then on the next, you can see there is a couple of audit findings that we do have. These are really similar to what you received in the past. The first one is the preparation of financial statements. As your auditors, we do a fair amount of the financial statement prep work. That's really common in cities of this size because you just don't have the staff needed to prepare your own financial statements. And so the first one is just more of a disclosure that we do prepare those for the city. And then the second is segregation of duties. And so with some of the staff transition, also bringing in additional staff, towards the end of the year, we felt like there wasn't a lot of separation of controls during the year. I'm really looking forward to evaluating that in 2024 with all of those positions filled to see, okay, what are those separation responsibilities? How are the internal controls working? And we can either take that and out or modify it to make sure that it reflects that in the staff. So those are the findings that we have for this year. And then here are your general fund balances. And so this first chart looks at your general fund, which is your main operating fund. And it tells you how much you have in your reserves to cover your next year's operating budget. So you have a current policy of 15%. And in December 2023, you jumped up to about 68% of your operating budget. And so that is a jump up from last year. We'll talk about some of the reasons in a little bit, but that 50% policy is something that you could consider reviewing to see if this really where we want our fund balance policy to be. Some cities have higher and lower, just depends on your capital needs and some other things. So right now might be a good time to review, but I know it's something that as well. And then here's a look at your budget to actual. So a couple of things that stood out this year. Within revenues, you're running about $200,000 more than what you had expected. A couple of really big contributors, your building permits are generally set on a very conservative level. And then with increased building activity, that permit revenue is higher than where you had budgeted. So that was about 100,000 in that. And then your interest earnings, the investments had a really good year. And so you've running about $50,000 more than what you had budgeted for interest earnings.
Good.
So, really good as well. Overall, your expenditures are about $100,000 over budget, but you were able to increase that general fund. And then on the next slide is a look at your general fund revenues by type. So this shows where your revenue sources come in. And so taxes, you can see, have been fairly consistent. Other revenue includes things like your local government aids, any grants that come into the city, and then any refunds and reimbursements, miscellaneous revenues. You can see that permit revenue that's right next to taxes, that big spike up in 2023 and 2022.
Could we go back one slide? I'm sorry. Did you say that we were 100,000 over budget?
100,000 over budget in expenditures, which whenever you have your revenues coming over budget, you would expect that expenditures are likely going to follow. Some of the budget variances include, unplanned costs that were then covered by reimbursements from outside entities. We also paid more for building inspection costs as well.
Yeah, okay, that explains, thank you.
Great question. And then on the next one, we have a similar chart looking at your general fund spending. And so here you can see year-over-year comparisons for spending in your main departments. The capital outlay, that varies just depending on what type of equipment and road paving projects you have going on. The big spike up for this year was within the public safety area, and then public works just a little bit. The drop in the general government, 2022, you had some city administrator search costs within that, and so where you see the general government go back down to a little bit closer to normal. And then here's a look at your special revenue fund. So separate from your general fund, you have these two funds, EDA and then the fire department contribution fund that accounts for just very specific activity. Not a ton of stuff flows through here on a regular basis. The EDA is, and the fire department contributions is completely restricted for just those purposes, and so can't be spent for anything else. And then next is your capital project funds, and so you have some funds set aside for different capital purchases and street improvements. And so here you can see what those funds are set for 2023. So within the fire fund, and that's where just any large fire capital purchases are made out of. There was an increase there, building those reserves. Park improvements, that's where some of your park capital goes through, and then you have your capital project in it as well. Here's a list of your debt service. So this is just debt service that was issued for any street or non-utility projects. And the chart on the bottom shows over the next 10 years what do your payments look like, and then realizing that there's only 9 actually over the next 9 years, what your payments look like with principal and interest. Your next debt is going to fall off in 2026. A couple of your bonds mature, and then the last one there is 2040. And then switching gears a little bit, here's your water funds. So the utility funds are intended to be self-sustaining funds. But the top chart shows the operating charges that are coming in compared to your operating cost. And so that is a helpful illustration of how well are you able to cover your operating costs in your government. So it's been very close, those receipts to the debt payments and operating costs. On the second chart at the bottom is your cash balances over the last 4 years. There have been some decreases every year due to some repairs that have been paid on the cash reserves. And so you have to happen in some of your existing cash balances there. We do put on a minimum target balance, just a helpful guide of, what should we keep in here? And that minimum target is calculated as all of the debt service that you have to pay next year, plus 50% of your operating costs. That's just a very basic recommendation. Good to have something specific you're shooting there for with capital, specific capital needs, but good to see that the cash balance is over that minimum target.
Certainly getting close to it, though.
Yes. And then here's a look at your sewer fund. So the sewer fund has some taxes pledged for the debt that's paid out of the sewer. And so you can see here it's a little bit different than the water fund, where we're looking at how well are those taxes and operating receipts covering your costs and your documents. And then what is that cash balance movement been like? So really sufficient cash balance within that fund, and the sewer costs are generally able to cover your operating costs and your documents. There was some additional engineering fees for the water treatment, wastewater treatment plant, and so that are included in that operating cost. You can see there's a big increase from 22 to 23 for your operating costs in sewer due to some of the engineering and the design. And then the stormwater fund, not a lot of activity in here, but stormwater capital and repairs are costly, but often not funded for. And so here you want a good reserve balance for when you have to do those repairs. So you can see that you're building up that cash balance for every year. Here's a look at the total cash of the state. And so your cash balances are broken down into these different funds that we've talked about. And a lot of them are restricted for specific purposes. The general fund on the bottom is really your main operating funds, where you have your most less restricted funds, that least restricted funds that you have. You can see on top of that you have all these other funds for the purposes. And then on the next one, we have a couple of ratios. I don't have information yet for 2022, so we're showing a couple of comparative years. And what we do here is we take information from the Office of the State Auditor. They give us data for all of the cities in the state. And we break that down into a couple of different categories. Class 4 cities are cities from 0 to 10,000 in population. So a really wide range there in population. And then we also have cities in Cargo County. And so we average out those data rates to see, okay, for your taxes, what we're showing here, what does that tax rate look like compared to those other cities? And then also the taxes per capita. And then it gives you just a helpful view. And the tax per capita, that should, at 644, is not the right information for 2022. So it should just say 0, that's copied over incorrectly. I'll update that and send you a new slide deck. My apologies. So you can see what the comparisons were for 2020 to 2021, but then also just what your trend has been. And it gives a look at spending compared to those other cities. And again, like in 2022, that's just the same information as 2021. But it gives you a good idea of the trend. The capital expenditures, those are always going to vary, hard to kind of see at what's going on there, but it's helpful to think of maybe we have some newer project costs. And then here's our contact information. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us anytime and we'll discuss things. We're ready to go.
Perfect. Any questions, comments?
So can you remind me, when did Tracy start?
April of '23.
Okay, and that's what you were referring to when you talked about the separation of duties and,
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
And then, did we have a lot of building permits in 2023?
We had some new houses, but we had a lot of miscellaneous permit activity.
Okay. I was like, I thought the house count was low.
It was, but we had a lot of other permits.
Okay,
Remodels, basement finishes, decks.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. Get
okay.
put into there as well.
And were we conservative in 2024 with that? Still, okay,
I would say even more so.
okay. I thought we had reduced that. I just want to make
Seems
sure.
to be the right approach on that.
Yeah, I like to think of it as it's very hard to guess what building permits are going to do. So you don't want to try to rely on that volatile revenue source.
Yeah.
Do a baseline and everything above that, great. But we're not going to get caught in a situation where it's like, oh, let's expect 100 grand and now it's only 50. And now we're going, well, where does the 50 come from? And we see our fund balance decrease.
I think at one point, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we even accounted for some of that. We just left it off and anything we would get would just be bonus. I thought we had some years like that, but so on a little bit to Peggy's question with separation of duties, I was hoping maybe with Tracy starting, we would maybe not have it this year. Do we feel in 2024 we'll be able to get some of that resolved, or will this just always be one of those items that's been on our findings for forever?
I think pieces of it can be resolved. I know, Tracy's doing a lot with the bank reconciliations, and then also, processing accounts payable, and then now that your clerk position is also filled, looking at that, we can definitely sit down and go through it now to see what adjustments might be needed from our new people to that would not be changed until 2024. So,
Well, we're certainly going in the right direction.
yes.
That's certain. So that's good. All right. Yeah. Any other questions then? That's all. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you guys have done, and give our best to Steve McDonald. Also, we haven't seen him, or I haven't seen him now in a couple of years. So, and I don't know what you're going to do when Abdo retires. Now, what's your name going to be after that? But I'll let you guys decide that. So.
Yeah. Say hi to Robbie. He interned for us a couple years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for everything. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. With that, Nick, we can move to or do we need to approve
Yes.
that the audit as is?
I think we approve the audit as presented contingent upon receipt of the
The para.
stuff.
Okay.
Which doesn't affect our numbers. It's purely on the retirement
Alright.
end of things.
Then I'll look for a motion to approve the draft audit, 2023 audit, with the adjustments to the para data once we get it in the next month.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. And that will take us to the approval of quote to perform water tower painting repair work.
Thank you, Mayor. Get down to it here. So this has been an issue since the water tower repair work was completed in 2022. We had a section of the water tower, it's on the front end with the lettering, where the paint came off. And we attempted to get a hold of the painting company. Apparently the company was going through some issues of its own. They were very difficult to get a hold of. And then when we did get a hold of them, they weren't forthcoming with a lot of the items that we needed to get from them. There was procedural work, specs, those types of things. When was paint going to arrive? All this sort of stuff. And then the painters themselves. It was a bit of a mess. And we're at the point where we don't feel confident working with the existing contractor to repair the work. We feel it's best. So we being myself, Kyle, the city engineer, and the city attorney have all been working on this. We feel we're at the point now where it's going to be simpler, easier, and better if we contract out the repair work, get it done by a company we know is reputable, and move on. There will be attempts afterward at collecting on this amount. We will invoice the existing company, and we'll see how that pans out. Well, we may not go terribly deep into it because we could quickly have attorney and engineering fees that could equal this cost. Very unfortunate it had to fall this way, but we've all four of us feel this is the correct way to go moving forward. So with that, the engineers received 2 quotes to repair to do the repair work, one from Hartung for $12,300 and another from Slack for $19,850. The recommendation from the engineer is to approve moving forward with Hartung at $12,300.
And then like it says in there, you'll have the city attorney recoup those costs. How about any attorney fees? Does any of that come with that, or how does that work?
I think we'll essentially send a letter. I don't know if there's going to be a really good legal route to get this money back, so we'll make the attempt to bill, and I don't want to suck up $12,300 in attorney fees just to get $12,300.
Yeah, it's a shame it's turned out to be this way, but we got to get it fixed and
Yeah,
go after them and get reimbursed for it. It's just faulty work, so.
yep.
Do we know if they're still operating? Have we done any research?
As of our last communications and 3, 4, 5 months ago, they were still in business. As of right now, I'd have to check again.
And we know that both of these companies that submitted bids are reputable and
Yep,
Bolton Mike has worked with them.
yes.
had they ever worked with MK Painting before, Bolton Mink?
In the past, they had, but I think, and I'm not saying it on camera, but not on record, we believe that there were some internal company issues that caused the failing to resolve the repair work.
But to answer your question, yes, Bolton Mike had worked with them. They
Yeah.
were responsible. They accepted the bid and they had a relationship with them, so. All right, and then the appropriate time to paint it is whatever they recommend, time of year.
Usually 50+ degrees
Okay.
to make sure it's low moisture, 50+ degrees, but that was part of the spec sheet that they sent out for the repair work, making sure we're doing it at the right times and at the right temperatures.
That would be important. Oh. All right, with that, I'll look for a motion to approve the quote from Hartung for $12,300 for the painting of the water tower.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. With that, we will move to city council reports. Councilmember Wagner, anything to report on?
Nothing.
Councilmember Helt, anything to report on?
Not had any meetings.
And I believe I have not had any meetings either. So I have nothing to report on. So with that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.